Alrighty, good morning, good Tuesday morning, Mid-Michigan. I'm First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mondro, coming to you with another First Alert update as we head into this early to midweek period here. We are tracking a fairly decent day today. Really just another nice fall day is going to be ahead of us with conditions that are very similar to what we had yesterday afternoon. So we've been enjoying a lot of sunshine out there. We'll take a look at the US 10 camera. In fact, you can see this here. A few fair weather clouds in the mix, but overall we're still going with brighter skies, partly to mostly sunny for this Tuesday. Notice some of the flags there, though, at the Fabiano Brothers building. They are blowing around a little bit. Still want to first alert you to a little bit of a breezy day out there. However, we aren't expecting our wind gusts to be quite as strong as yesterday. Those gusts will only be coming up to about 25 miles per hour or so, rather than 30 to 35 like we saw yesterday. But of course, the big story in the forecast too is that chance for snow showers this upcoming weekend. That is still holding on in the forecast, so everything is looking pretty steady with that as of now. I do have a few more details to break down regarding that here in the forecast. But before we do, I do want to just get to today's forecast just a little bit more as well. So let's take a look at this, the raking forecast. After the wind yesterday, perhaps you do have some more leaves down across your yard. For today, still a pretty pleasant day for cleaning up those leaves. So kind of like we saw along US 10, we have a partly to mostly sunny sky. We will be dry all day today, and we are going to see those temperatures making their way up into the mid to upper 50s for the afternoon, about 58 for our high today. And notice that wind, it will be picking up to sustained speeds of about 10 to 15 miles per hour. So again, a little bit breezy today, but at least our wind gusts today still just not quite as strong as what we saw yesterday. And then for tomorrow, I do want to highlight this real quick in the forecast too. We are still tracking just a chance for some isolated or lightly scattered showers in tomorrow's forecast, but more or less during the early morning and then also during the early afternoon, but these showers aren't expected to be really anything too significant. So here we are right here on your screen. This is about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So notice that we do have more cloud coverage out there, and then we are seeing just a couple of showers that could come in right near Port Austin or Grindstone City. I think a couple of those showers could also be near Whittemore, Hale, Tawas City, or Oscoda, but very much sort of at that northern or northeastern edge of our viewing area. So that would be for the morning chance tomorrow. But as we fast forward to the afternoon, notice this here too, we have just a couple of these very stray showers coming into the forecast. I think a few of these showers could actually populate a little bit better than what the hour by hour is showing here. But either way, that rain chance that we're still holding for tomorrow is not expected to be very significant. So if you have outdoor plans tomorrow, or if you have outdoor work to do, I still think that some of us will actually completely end up with a dry day. If you're in an area like Mount Pleasant or Elma or Chesaning, that very much is going to be a possibility on Wednesday still. So overall, we could still say somewhat pleasant as we go into tomorrow. And then especially by tomorrow evening, any of those showers would start to come to an end again. So our conditions would already start to dry back out as we go into Wednesday night. And then that does leave us with some dry weather for Thursday, but Thursday will just be a little bit cooler because of that northwest wind coming in. So tomorrow, or rather a Thursday, a high of 49 degrees, but still partly to mostly sunny, so it actually should be somewhat pleasant still, even as we go into Thursday. We have that rain chance on Friday, scattered showers, so a cold front coming in on Friday. There is still a little bit of movement on that rain chance, more so with the timing, but I do want to make you aware right now that that rain chance is mainly hedging towards the morning on Friday. So I don't think, at least with the way everything stands right now, it'll be a start to finish rain for the entire day, but I still think as we wake up on Friday especially, we will have some scattered rain coming through, so that is going to bring some more damp conditions to our area. But we of course are talking about that chance of snow for the upcoming weekend as well. That forecast really hasn't changed at all since what we were discussing yesterday. We're more so just trying to hone in on some of those finer details a little bit more. One thing to remember with this is that with it being an early season snowfall, still one of our first of the year, it does mean that the ground temps are going to be a little bit of a battle for us too. So if you are hoping for some very high accumulations, Really not expecting that to be the case for this weekend, but realistically we should still be able to see some snow showers falling as we go into Saturday night and Sunday. So we'll take a look at the latest hour by hour for that coming up here just a little bit after this break, and we'll talk a few more details on what we are expecting for this weekend snow chance too. So we'll catch you right here after the break. Alrighty, coming back in from our break here, we're going to get a little bit more into the details on that weekend forecast and that chance of snow that we have been talking about for the upcoming weekend as well. So still, overall, want to first alert you to our first snow showers of the season. Now, this is locally for the TV5 viewing area. In fact, this past weekend, there were some snow showers that were able to stick to the ground temporarily in the Upper Peninsula, closer to Marquette, and some places in the Keweenaw as well. So for the state of Michigan as a whole, this is technically not the first snow of the season, but at least for the TV5 viewing area, it is. And here's really what I want you to expect realistically as we head into the weekend with this chance. So first, what is likely is that we are going to have some snow showers as we go into Saturday night and as we go into Sunday morning. The system is largely driven by the temperatures though, but we are still being favored to be on the colder side, the northern side of this system. So that's where we'll still be able to see temperatures falling down right to freezing, if not even a little bit below freezing as well. So say closer to 30 degrees or even some upper 20s in our northern counties. So it is looking likely that we will have the temperatures setting up for us properly. What is definitely possible too is that we do catch a light coating of snowfall on some elevated surfaces. So this would be cars or patio furniture, your patio or your deck, bushes, shrubs, or any sort of larger tree limbs as well. There's definitely going to be that possibility for snow to stick to those. One thing to keep in mind with those elevated surfaces as we go into Saturday night is that as they're sitting outside long enough, those elevated surfaces, like a car windshield, for example, will be able to cool down to what the air temperature is. That's also why you see those signs on bridges that say bridge ices before road. That's why you see that as we head into this winter season, at least coming up ahead of us here. But again, with this chance of snow for the weekend, definitely possible that we see a light coating, and I think technically this would end up as a measurable snowfall because of that light coating on those elevated surfaces. However, what is still unlikely here are more significant accumulations on the ground. So one thing to keep in mind too is that the actual ground temperature is still anywhere from around 45 to 48 degrees. The road surfaces are also at close to that same temperature, especially during the daytime when the sun is out too. So as far as this weekend goes with the snow chance, I really would not expect icy roads or really any sort of snowy roadways because I don't think the snow will be able to fall quick enough to overcome the warmer temperatures, first of all, but also the ground is still relatively too warm. It's not like we're kind of hovering right on that borderline with ground temps at about 35 degrees. They are still in the mid 40s, so relatively the ground is very warm when it comes to this snowfall chance. So I wouldn't expect to wake up to several fresh inches of snow on Sunday morning, but still, again, as you're waking up on Sunday morning, more than likely you are going to see some snow actually falling, and maybe if you do have some Sunday morning plans or you're going to church Sunday morning, you actually still might have to brush the windshield off of the car too. But let's take a look at the first alert hour by hour. So going into this weekend, And I'll actually go ahead and pull this back just a little bit more too. So this right here is noon on Saturday. I do want you to know that we expect Saturday to be a completely dry day at this point. So the daytime, which sunset now comes in closer to about 5:20, the daytime should be completely dry on Saturday, but then we could see some of those first showers actually starting to pick up during the late evening on Saturday, possibly before midnight. The timing of when exactly this starts is still a little bit up in the air, but I do think it will be after sundown on Saturday. But it will start off as rain as it moves in, and then notice this here in the first alert hour by hour, how we have that transition over to some snow showers on the northern side of the system. So that's as these temperatures start to cool off from the north, heading down closer to freezing. So this right here is at about 11 o'clock on Saturday evening, or getting closer to midnight as well. And we'll fast forward this to about 5 in the morning on Sunday too. So by then, we still do have this cooler air coming in for much of our viewing area. Perhaps in the eastern thumb, still a little bit of rainfall, as you'll actually have more of a southerly wind there, while we have a northerly wind coming in on the other side of our viewing area. But I still think this will be enough that we will see some of those snow showers mixing in with the rain. But if you've been waiting for the snow, if you're excited for winter, this should be a pretty cool sight as we wake up on Sunday morning. Now, as we head towards lunchtime on Sunday, air temps will start to come back up to the upper 30s. That should be warm enough that any snow will start to transition back over to rainfall again. And then anything that's left going into the afternoon on Sunday, that's expected to transition over to rain showers as well. So this is, again, is a system very much driven by our air temperatures, especially as we're pretty much right on that verge of freezing during the winter. We usually don't have to worry about this quite as much, but this is typical for this time of year, for these first season snowfalls, and also for some of the late season snowfalls too. You really have to watch how those temperatures play out during the day, and it can be a situation where it snows at night, but then it starts to rain during the day once those temperatures warm back up. But I'll take you back here to the hour by hour. Something that I do want to point out with this too is that as we go into Sunday evening and night, we will have a northwesterly wind completely taking over behind this low pressure system. So some lake effect is expected to develop coming off of Lake Michigan, especially because the waters of Lake Michigan are still relatively much warmer too. So the lake effect machine should actually be very efficient as we go into Sunday evening and night. I think it will be enough that some of these snow showers will be able to stretch at least into our usual lake effect belts in our northern and western areas. So even into Sunday night, some spots like Houghton Lake or West Branch or Clare may still have some lingering on and off snow showers. And we expect lows to fall down into the mid-20s on Sunday night too. So it definitely is going to be turning colder by then. So some of those snow showers should still be able to hold on. So kind of almost like a classic early season setup with this system. Now, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. Just want to highlight this again. I know we just had Halloween, and 2023 was kind of an exception there too, with our first measurable snowfall on Halloween. But on average, between the Bay region and Flint, we do expect that first measurable snowfall generally around mid-November. In fact, that 5-year average of the last 5 years is November 12th for Saginaw and November 14th for Flint. Now, for the entire period of record, that average in Saginaw is November 16th, and then it's November 15th for Flint. So as you can see with the numbers here, that 5-year average is actually pretty close to the entire period of record. But really, this isn't too uncommon for this time of year. Even though we just had Halloween, it's only the start of November. This is typically about the time of year, at least especially when looking at some of our just climate data here with when we see our first snow. This is when we usually do start to talk about some snow coming into the first alert forecast as well. This weekend is the 8th and the 9th, so we're only just a few days off of that 5-year average. In fact, actually a few days ahead of that 5-year average too. And now, quite frankly, I do want you to take away from this again that it's still far too early to be able to tell how this entire winter is going to play out. In fact, last year, our first measurable snow wasn't until after Thanksgiving, but then once the snow picked up, we actually did have a pretty decent start to the winter. But still, overall, there's really no way to completely tell right now how exactly this winter is going to play out. But if you are at least cautiously optimistic, if you like the snow like me, at least this is something that will be kind of nice to see, and fingers crossed that we do have a good snowy winter for those of us who do enjoy our winter sports. Now, taking a look here at our graphics again, I do want to highlight too the last time that we had an above average snow season. So this includes more than just the winter. So when we're looking at winter climatology, technically that only includes December, January, and February. These numbers do include any early and late season snowfall too. So that would also mean October and November snows, but then also March and even early April snows too. So there are a couple of additional months into these numbers, but the 30-year moving average for the Great Lakes Bay region, 1991 to 2020, that average is 49 inches for an entire snow season. Last time we saw numbers above that average was 10 years ago, 2015 to 2016, and that winter we had 50 inches of snow. And then for the Flint area, that was a little bit more recent, 2021 to 2022. But with the Flint area in that winter, we did have a couple of systems that specifically just sort of clipped the southern edge of mid-Michigan. So Owasso, Flint, Lapeer, a lot of our southern communities were the only ones that saw a more significant snow with some of those events that we had during that winter. So that does skew those numbers a little bit. If you take that out, the numbers for Flint are actually pretty similar to what they are here for the Saginaw area too. But again, really our main takeaway for our snow chance this weekend is the fact that this isn't exactly uncommon for this time of year. Once we get into November, usually we do have to start thinking about snow, even though for some of us that might be something we still don't want to think about just yet. But as we head towards the mid-November time frame, that's usually when we start to see this coming into the forecast. And again, we have a lot of factors like those warmer ground temperatures still working against some higher snowfall accumulation. So again, we don't expect this to be something that you'll have to get the snowblower or the shovel out on Sunday morning, but still I think we could see a light coating of snow on some of those elevated surfaces as we start off the day on Sunday. Well, this is something we're still going to keep a very close eye on as we go forward here throughout the remainder of the week. Even though we do have that rain chance on Friday too, the weekend chance I know is definitely something that is taking a lot of the attention in the forecast right now too. But we do always update the forecast in the TV5 First Alert Weather app. It is a free app you can download on the App Store and on Google Play. We update the daily forecast in there. The hourly forecast you can set to whatever your location is too. And there is also a live radar in the app. So especially as we go into the weekend, the live radar in the app would be something pretty cool to pull up and be able to see how things are panning out by then. And if we do have any more updates to this forecast, not only will we bring them to you right here with our daily live stream, but also we'll bring them to you on the TV5 First Alert Weather app and of course over the air on TV5 during all of our regularly scheduled newscasts as well. But we'll keep close tabs on that as we go throughout the weekend, and we'd kind of like to hear from you too. Are you excited for the snow? Are you not ready for it just yet? We'd love to hear from you on that too. But in the meantime, we will check out here from this morning update, and meteorologist Diane Phillips will be back here on the live stream at 2 this afternoon for any further updates with that weekend chance and also our forecast for the rest of the week. We hope you have a good afternoon.